Good afternoon, and welcome to our first webinar of the fall semester. My name is Paul Lynch, and with me today are Lisa Kidder, Sasha Johnson, Ryan Randall, Kim Tompkinson, and Mark Cooper. The Wednesday webinars are weekly live webinars hosted Wednesday afternoons by the Instructional Technology Resource Center, or the ITRC. In today's session, we're going to cover some of the new exciting features in the newest Moodle update, Moodle 4.2. Some of these features include the Tiny MCE editor, course page improvements, bulk editing, gradebook enhancements, Moodle database, and new activities in Moodle. This includes the Moodle board and Moodle group choice. As Lisa stated just before we started recording, since this webinar may be a little longer than normal, please feel free to put any questions in chat. And when we complete a section of this webinar, we'll go ahead and address any of those questions at that time. So the first thing I want to talk about is Tiny MCE and the header specifically. So the Tiny MCE editor in Moodle offers an intuitive way to format headings. Unlike generic labels, so something like large or medium, the editor provides easy presets that pop up as you highlight text. This feature enhances the meaningfulness of headings, making it simpler to structure your content. And to do this, what you'll do is you'll want to find the format option under the format menu option. And then when you expand that, just about 2/3 of the way down, you'll have that option for styles, and that's where you can apply the different stylings to your text. Next are tables. Creating tables in Moodle has gotten much better than it previously was. Tiny MCE simplifies table creation by offering a user-friendly interface. Adding tables becomes more intuitive, and you can customize various aspects of the table, such as cell properties, row insertion, column insertion, and more. This feature is especially valuable for users who need to present data in a tabular format. To add a table, select the table from the menu option, place your cursor over the table option, and this will expand the option to add a table. So here you can see you can select how many rows and columns you want to add. It's really similar to what this would look like in Google Docs or in Microsoft Word. After you've selected how many rows and columns you want in your table, this is what it'll look like in the Tiny MCE editor. Tables created with Tiny MCE can include captions under table properties, and that will be this leftmost icon in the screenshot. So we have this little pop-up menu, and it'll be this left one. And we can see if we hold our mouse over it long enough, we'll have the title pop up, and that's that table properties. This will help in providing context and clarity to your tabular data. Furthermore, the editor allows you to designate cells as headings for rows or columns and set appropriate scopes using the cell properties feature. This ensures accessibility and enhances the understanding of table content. And then the last thing, copy and paste and clear formatting in Tiny MCE. So Tiny MCE addresses copy paste issues by offering the ability to format any data that is pasted into Tiny MCE. What you can do to paste content in Tiny MCE is you can go to edit paste, or you can use the keyboard shortcuts for Windows Control-Shift-V, or if you're on a Mac, Command-Shift-V. And again, users can utilize that format menu and select clear formatting. So if you paste anything into Tiny MCE and the formatting looks a little goofy, you do have that ability now to clear the formatting and reset it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pass things off to Lisa Kidder, who's going to highlight a few other features of the Tiny MCE editor.
You're muted. Yep,
Here
there you go.
is
saying Tiny MCE, that's just the name of what this editor is. The editor is everywhere in Moodle. So wherever you want to add something, this is where you'll see it. This is what students will see when they post a forum. This is what students will see if they're doing a short answer in a quiz, or you're writing a quiz question or quiz feedback. So this tool right here and our switch to this newer format actually provides much more access and opportunities for us in the future to keep building and adding to make sure that anywhere you can add things in. One of the things that is a little bit confusing is the A with the underline. It's not underline. Underlining means hypertext or hyperlink, but this icon right here gives you colors. Currently, we have 4 colors listed here. We have selected a color palette that has accessible colors. Again, we're wanting to make sure that your students have the best experience possible and making sure that you're using accessible colors to help support them, whether they report an accommodation to you or not. Most people that need high contrast colors actually don't report. So this is where you find those colors, and the slash means to remove the colors. There's also more. So those 3 dots that clicks, that also means more. So in addition to the menu headings of File, View, Edit that we see commonly across Google Docs, Word, and many of our other Word formatting, wherever we do that, the 3 dots opens an additional menu. So just click those 3 dots and you can see all these other options. You can also select the insert, because I'm going to talk about inserting things within the editor here. And this is other ways that you can see all the different things that you can insert. So there's 2 different ways, whichever way is more comfortable for you or you remember most. Within our updated editor, there are 2 recording options. And so the one on the left is just your video camera. And the one on the right is the video camera with the dotted around it. So I'm going to go over the difference between these 2. If you hover over the first one, it says record, and the second one, it says screen recording. And the reason is that second one with the dotted line is actually captures your computer as well as your video camera. The first one just uses your video camera. It's a direct recorder in Moodle. It has a 2-minute limit. Things are stored in Moodle in that specific class, in that specific activity when you do these recordings. This is great for just in time. So if you have a quick announcement, maybe we have a snow day and you need to get an announcement out there and you just want to record something and give them a feed up. That's what this recorder is for, and it works best just in time, specific for just this course. You can record with your mobile phone when you log into Moodle and use this recorder. I just know that you're limited to the 2 minutes on that. The other recorder with the dotted line around it allows you to capture your screen and your video camera, and you can flip back and forth. This is actually Loom. So if you have used Loom Recorder before or loom.com, that's what this is. A free account gives you 5 minutes of recording, or if you follow the link and use your ISU email address, you can get an education account, which means it's unlimited. We encourage you to use this and to use the educational account. It's stored in Loom, which means it can also be shared anywhere else. You can stick a link to that video in an email, you can share it in a chat, you can share it across courses. So this is a great tool to use when you want something that's a little bit more evergreen, something that you want to use in several places, or something that you want to capture the screen with. It also includes captions, which improves accessibility. And there's emoji reactions, there's some feedback so you can see when people, you get notifications if you turn them on, when people view your video, things like that. And you have some basic editing. So this is a very powerful tool that we have integrated in. It's been in there for a while. The icon is a bit new with the new icon set. So this is what we would encourage you to use going forward. And with any of these, if you need help, we're here. So those are our 2 recording options. We also have this C4L, or this little Lego. C4L stands for Components for Learning. So this video is just going to run, and what it is, little cards or fragments that you can add into your course, and they bring in the formatting, and then you just adjust the text so it's appropriate for your course. There's different kind of cards to make things stand out, items that you can connect with and make bullets and things like that. So we look forward to seeing how you use these components in your course. Most of them you just do need to go in and you add it in, and then you replace the lorem ipsum, that the fake text in there, with what it is that you want in your course. So we look forward to seeing how you use those. And if you want to explore, play, we are welcome to play with you. We also have a sketch tool now in Moodle. And this is something that we've talked about internally in terms of when you would want to use a sketch tool. It is here. It's actually much more than something bigger. You click on the sketch, and as you can see here, it opens up. It is your basic Adobe Photoshop. It has layers, it has all the tools that you need. In this example, maybe I asked my students, what does a normal curve look like? I don't really like that one, so I go down to the layers and I delete it. I try again. Still don't like that one. So I can select it and it goes away, and it just comes back until you get there. Once you click the insert, it comes in. It's big. You can use the corners. I used a shift with my mouse here to keep the aspect ratio. And you can see that I've answered that and I've labeled it, and then I can insert in my page. Something that you could do, anything there. Another use case, when you click on the sketch, it brings it back. So you can go and edit it in there. Another use case that I thought of is I've been practicing my Japanese. So here is and I was able to put that through Japanese. It's a specific order, but at least I got the shape fairly well. I am drawing here with a mouse in that example. If you are wanting to use these, make sure that your students understand. Maybe a stylus might be helpful if you need something intense, or just recognize that students are drawing with a mouse. But it is a tool that you could actually, again, this editor is everywhere. You could put it into quiz questions. You can put it into a page. You can put it into a form. Students can draw. You can draw anything that you can think of. Again, this is another tool we're looking forward to seeing how you use it. This has been there for a while, but there is an equation editor. So if you need to insert an equation, this will insert in it. And you go through and you click and create your equation, and then it creates it in an accessible manner rather than an image. So then a screen reader or other assistive technologies will read it appropriately. Again, this has been around for a while, but wanted to make sure you knew where it was at. We also still have H5P. H5P can be embedded in the editor. It can also be added as an activity. When it's added as an activity, you have the option for those that have grades for it to report to the grade and things like that. When you click on the H5P here, you'll get this screen, which doesn't quite look like H5P creation if you're there. And you have to click on the Browse Repository and go to your content bank. So using this tool, you need to actually create your H5P in your content bank and then pull it into your editor. So it's a little bit different. There's some really cool things with H5P if you've not explored that. They're interactive activities using any type of media that you could put on the web. They can be graded, they can be non-graded. They're really great for some formative interactive pieces that you can add to your course. So at this point, do we have any students in the room? I don't think we do. I think we all have staff and faculty. So we will just keep moving on to our next section and course page improvements.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, I'm here to talk about some of the improvements that have been made to the course page. And when I say course page, I basically mean the landing page, what you're usually looking at in Moodle, unless you're looking inside of an activity or something more specific. So the way I can progress is by clicking on those arrows. So one of the biggest changes that has happened with the course page is that now, instead of labels, the name has changed. So it's not a behavior change, but if you're used to looking for the smaller icon, I made it smaller, so you'd remember that this is the one in the past. The one on the left is the one that you're now going to be looking for. So this has thrown me off a few times because I have muscle memory that draws me to L, but you're going to want to look for text and media areas instead. And the reason for the change is just that's more descriptive of how people actually use them and what they can actually accommodate. So an example of what you can do with one is this the bottom of the column on the right in this image. You can see where it says example text and media area. And then I explained they're often used for section titles in your Moodle page. They're not something to be assessed, but they can have images or other media in there. And so I added an image just to demonstrate what they can contain and how they will show up in the course page. Also, what's new is if you look on the left, that course index, you can see the third item down under the orange actually says example text and media area. Before the updates, labels didn't show up there. They would just mysteriously be omitted, which could throw some people off, especially if a course is very long. So now what is in the course index on the left is more faithful to what's in the middle main column with those text and media areas. So I think that's I'm surprised at how big of an improvement I think that is. When I first saw, oh, they've just changed the name. But once I began to realize the other implications of it, with it actually showing up on the left course index, I think that's a really important one. Also, there have been improvements to activities and indentation. Formerly, whenever you wanted to add an activity in a module or a topic, it would tend to show up just at the bottom, as you can see here. In this image, I've already turned on editing and I'm about to add something. But what you might not realize is that plus sign in the middle of that, below module 1 short survey and above module number 1 wrap up, that is me intentionally putting the activity there. And so if I added that, it would actually just move the other two out of the way, and that's where it would appear. Whereas formerly you'd have to add it at the bottom of that stack and then manually move it back up, which could get frustrating if you have an extremely long topic or if you're using weeks that are busier than others. So I think that's a really good improvement for efficiency for you on the editing side. When you're adding activities, you'll see the names of them in the editing view. They won't be visible to students in the regular view. Formerly, if you were looking right now before the updates happen, you would see, for instance, label or survey or feedback or page next to the icons, but now it's been simplified. So there's a bit less cognitive load on students when they're looking at them because the icons convey that meaning as well. So they've just removed the words. You'll be able to see them yourself as the editor though. When you're in the editor view, you as the instructor will be able to see them in case they're a useful reminder to you. Also, eagle eyes might have noticed that there is one level of indentation on this screen. The second thing in this image, the module 1 short survey, shows that you can have things indented one level of indentation. So that's something that's been brought back for Moodle ISU. And then the last set of improvements that I wanted to show off were that now you can have permalinks to sections in the page, in the course page. And a permalink is if you wanted to link not just to your course as a whole, but specifically to one section or something more specific. So the way that you would do this is you click on the 3 dots, the vertical, some people call it the kebab icon instead of a hamburger icon. And then you can see, I've highlighted duplicate here, but down at the bottom, you can see permalink. And so that would be a link, a URL link that you could share in an announcement, in an email to students. If you have a co-instructor or a TA, you could share that with them. And you could say, jump straight to week 7. And that link would go straight to week 7, instead of you having to tell them, here's the page and then scroll down yourself. So it can help be more efficient. The other thing that's extremely more efficient is you can also duplicate entire sections now. So if your course tends to have a mostly standard pattern for each week or each section, what you can do is build one and then duplicate it and then change names and update things with each of those new duplicated ones. But you don't have to go through and add individually each action again. So you can cut and paste, copy the whole bulk of activities, maybe 5, maybe 10, depending on what you have in a week or a topic. But that will definitely help to build your course more efficiently. So those are some of the really nice changes to course pages and the related improvements. And up next, I believe we will have Mark tell us about bulk editing.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. All right, let's talk a little bit about bulk editing. And this is an exciting new feature that was included in the latest update of Moodle ISU. And amongst all the exciting features of this latest release, this is one of my favorites because I find this to be incredibly useful, and I hope you do too. So what is bulk editing? It's a time-saving feature. And this allows you to edit more than one thing in your course at the same time. In previous iterations of Moodle, you would have to go through each of the actions, and I'll tell you what those actions are in a moment, but you'd have to go through each one of those and delete. And those actions are duplicate, delete, move, or modify the availability of an activity in one fell swoop, in one swift action. Like I said, prior to this, if you wanted to delete multiple things in your course, you had to go through and you had to do it one by one. And now you can use the bulk editing feature and you can delete multiple items at the same time, or you could duplicate multiple items at the same time. And this will help you streamline your course creation experience and the editing process. So that's a great benefit. And I'm going to now show you how you can access bulk editing. So first, you need to be in the edit mode. So in your course, you would need to go to the far upper right-hand corner of the screen and move your edit mode to edit mode. And that'll enable you to edit within your course. Then at the top of your course page, you'll see a bulk edit link. That's what I have circled here in green. Simply by clicking on that bulk editing link, you now enable all of your course activities and resources to have a checkbox next to them. And so this is where you would go through and select which items you want to perform bulk edit actions on. And here, once you enable the bulk editing, you will get a menu. And again, here are the actions that you can perform bulk editing. So the availability of items, duplication of items, the movement of items, and the deletion of items. I'll go through and we'll talk a little bit more about each one of these actions, and I'll show you what they look like. So again, I have my course on the left side here with the items selected. And for talking about availability, I can click on that action and a pop-up box will appear on the screen. And here are the different options that I have. So I can, of the 3 items I have selected here on the left, I can do the bulk editing where I can show on the course page, I can hide that item on the course page, or I can make it available, but not show it on the course page. So what that means is it'll be an active item, an activity or resource that just doesn't show on the page, but it's still active. Next, we have duplicate, and Brian was talking a little bit about labels, also known under a different name, which I can't recall right now. But this is a very useful tool. So if you're going through and you're adding those label headers to your course, and you want to make sure that you have a consistent size, what you can do is you can duplicate that. So you would simply select the item, as we have here on the left, and go up and hit duplicate. And what will happen is an exact same replica of that item will appear in your course. And you could do this for any of the activities or resources that are available in Moodle. So maybe another option would be if you have a quiz and you like how that quiz is set up and you want to duplicate that quiz and all the quiz functions. What you can do is you can create that quiz and its function and its settings, and you can duplicate it and put it maybe in the next module and so on and so forth. So that's a very helpful item to have for your course creation. The next one that I found particularly useful was move. So you can use the bulk editing move action to move multiple items on your screen down. So if I want to select these 3 items, and let's say they're at the top of my course and I want to move them to the bottom of the course, I can simply select them, hit the move option, and the pop-up box will appear. And so you could scroll down in this pop-up box to find the particular section of your course that you want to move these items to. Click on that item and it will automatically move all 3 of those items to that section that you designate. And the last item is the deletion. And this is the obvious one. So if I select 3 items that I want to delete from my screen, click on the delete action. And then it'll tell me that I have these 3 activities that I want to delete. I can cancel or delete and select delete, and then those are gone from my screen. And a common error that I've done, and I know others have as well, is to accidentally import a content from one course into a course where there's already content. And therefore, you've completely duplicated all of the items in your course. And in the past, you would have to go through and manually, under hard labor, and delete each one of those particular activities. And so now with this handy new feature, you can simply go through, select the check boxes next to the items that you want to delete, and then select your bulk editing action and delete them all in one fell swoop. And so those are the items under the bulk editing feature. I recommend that you go in and try each one of these out, perhaps in a development course that you have, or as you're getting ready for your semester course. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Sasha, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the gradebook enhancements.
Great, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. So the Moodle 4.1 update was previously performed, and it provided some additional features in the single view report. You can now view by users, or you can view by grade item using the view by users and grade item buttons. And you can search this single view for a specific user if you wanted to, using that select a user drop-down menu. Or you can use the select visible groups to choose between all participants or specific groups within your course. If you switch to the grade items view, you can also filter by group again, or you can select a specific grade item to view. And once you do select a specific grade item, then you will also get an actions menu, and this will give you the area for you to override all or exclude or do the bulk insert grades options. So these are a good place. The bulk insert grades is a good tool to use, for example, with missing assignments. So by default, the Moodle gradebook does not exclude empty grades, so they will not count toward a student's total score. And so once that assignment deadline has passed and you know that this assignment is missing for students who didn't submit it, then you can come in here and you can bulk insert a 0 for all of the empty grades all at once. Also in the Moodle 4.1 update, we have the ability to expand and collapse different categories when you're looking at a specific user report. So this can give you a cleaner view of a student's scores in your class, especially if you just wanted to look at their quiz scores. So you can collapse the other categories like homework and exams and things like that so that you can just view the quizzes for that student. And the last 4.1 feature that was added is the grade summary report. So this report allows you to see all of the graded items and the average and number of attempts in parentheses for each of those activities. And you also have the ability to filter by specific types of activities. Say you just wanted to look at quizzes or assignments, you could use the filter to select that type of activity and just see those results. So then with our most recent update to Moodle 4.2, you can now search and filter within the actual grader report in the gradebook. So the grader report is that sort of Excel spreadsheet view of your grades in the class. And you can now use this search box here to just find one specific student and view that one specific student. You also have the ability now to collapse columns in the grader report. So here I've chosen to select the ellipses or the kebab menu next to the week 6 article workshop submission. And at the bottom of that drop-down list that comes up, I have the option to collapse that column. And then once that column is collapsed, you get a plus icon so that you know that there is something there, and you can select that plus icon to then expand that column again. Another new feature that is really nice is the ability to view any feedback that you've left to students in the grader report. So if you're in the grader report and you're looking at your students and you want to know what feedback did I leave that student, you can select the ellipses or kebab menu next to that score and choose view feedback. And then a pop-up window will display that overlays the grader report so that you can see what comments were left on that assignment for the student. And then you would just select the X to close that window. And lastly, with the gradebook enhancements in Moodle 4.2 update is the ability to expand and collapse categories within the gradebook setup view, which is also a really nice feature that has been requested for sure. So again, this is similar to the user report where you can collapse different categories, whether it's quizzes, homeworks, exams, and just focus on the one category that you want to see. So that can help give you a simpler, cleaner view for easier management of your gradebook setup. One other new Moodle 4.2 feature has to do with the database activity in Moodle. So Moodle databases don't get used a lot, and it can be because they are difficult to set up from scratch. And so now the database has this option to use a preset. So you would select use a preset to see which presets are available. And we have 4 new presets that can help kickstart your database creation. And there's an image gallery, journal proposals, and an option for students to collect resources that they then submit into that database activity. And you can also preview these presets by selecting the kebab menu and choosing preview to see what it looks like. And that will give you a view of what the students are going to submit. So we see here they're going to submit an image and some short text with it. And then this is how it will display for you and for other students who can see the database entries. If you want to use this preset, you would then select the use this preset button. Or if you wanted to go back and view the other ones, you can select the little left arrow that's in the upper left corner of this little image here. And that will then take you back to the list of presets that you can use. And you could also select the radio button next to one of the presets and choose use this preset from this page if you already know that's the one you want to use without having to preview it. And alternatively, there's an option to use the kebab menu on the right to also use the preset. And with that, I think I'll pass it over to Kim, unless we had any questions. Triple martini olives, okay. That menu, the 3 dots. Unless you have any questions, I could have mentioned that the user report and the single view report, all of those reports are available in the gradebook through the gradebook drop-down menu. So it just looks like text, but it is a drop-down list, and you can choose gradebook setup, you can choose single view, you can choose grader report from that menu. But with that, I will pass it over to Kim, who is also going to talk about some new features with Moodle 4.2.
Thank you, Sasha. Not just features, but these are new plugins that we've added. So they're new activities that you can choose to use now if you want to. The first one is the Moodle board. And its icon looks like this, like just a couple of squares there. So you'll notice this in that activity picker. So the Moodle board is a non-graded activity, and you'll find it in the activity picker when you choose to add an activity or a resource to your page. And this activity can be used to foster interaction within your course with both you and your students interacting on the board. You have the option to add images, links, YouTube videos, and plain text. So if you're familiar with Padlet, the Moodle board resembles it, but now we have this tool inside Moodle, which makes setup really easy. So to get started, you add the Moodle board activity where you want it in your course, and then you design your board to get it ready for your students. So you'll give your board a name, just like with any other activity, and the description, as always, is optional. Then you want to configure your settings. If hex color codes, you can choose a color for the background of your board, and you can always look those up online. That's how I found the ones that I have used, because I don't have hex color codes memorized. But that's one of the options. The other option is to set up its appearance, is you can add a background image for your board if you want to, and you would just upload a file. You just drag an image in there or choose one from your content bank. So moving on to some additional settings, you have the option to allow posts to be rated by students, by teachers, or by everyone. And you can choose to sort posts by either creation date or ratings. And if you don't allow ratings, then obviously it wouldn't sort by those, but those are just some options that you can choose. And then you can enable the single user mode and can choose for users to be either private or public. And then finally on here, you can choose to set a date by which students have to post. So you can give it a cutoff date. You can also allow students to choose where their posts appear on the board. They can move them around. And then the enable blank target selection will make all links open in a new window by default if you want that to happen. Finally, you can choose to embed the board on the main course page, but this option isn't available if you use the single user mode. It will give you a warning that says you can't do this, please select something else. And then by default, you're given 3 headings when you create a board that will automatically appear, but you can add headings or you can remove headings. Here you see that I've got 4 headings, and I added that 4th one, but I didn't give it a title yet. So by default, it just appears as heading and then just an empty space there. And then that plus icon on the far right side of the board is where you would add additional headings. So to change the title of your headings, now this is something that I just had to mess around with to figure out. You double click on heading or on the title, and then it allows you to edit it. This board that you're seeing right now just shows one post with some text in it and a YouTube video that's linked there. So when the video is selected, then it appears in a pop-up where it can be played. And this is the space where users that are interacting with the board can add comments to this post right here, where the student has initially posted, and then you can add comments to react to it. And then next, just a couple of last things with the board. This is what it would look like if you embedded the board on your main page. And this one, the students wouldn't get to it by selecting the activity and then having it take them to the board. It's just right here on your main page. So maybe it's something you might put at the very beginning of your course during week 1 that says, introduce yourself and put a picture of your favorite place that you visited this summer on the board. And then it opens up a place for students to just have an area where they can interact with each other and an icebreaker. There's lots of ways that you can use the Moodle board. So if you want to talk about it with respect to your particular course and maybe some things that you would like to do that would relate very well with your content, then just reach out to a member of the ITRC and we would be happy to help you get that set up and to discuss some of the options that it might provide for your class. The second one is Moodle Group Choice. And group choice allows students to select one or more groups that they wish to be a member of in a space. So this is what the group choice icon looks like. Anyway, moving on to adding a new choice activity. When you add the group choice activity to your class, it really just allows members to select the group that they want to be in. So you would go to, just like you would add any other activity, you go to the place where you want to add it, you make sure editing's turned on, and then you add an activity or resource. You'll give your group choice activity a name. And then for this one, I just put select your group. That's what I call it. And optionally, you can give it a description too. And then the display mode, you can choose to have it display the options either horizontally or vertically. By default, it's horizontal. So now we'll talk about some of the settings. So when you allow the choice to be updated, that means that students can change their minds and they can go back and select different group if they decide that they want to be in a different one. And then if you allow more than one choice to be selected, then students can go into more than one space. They can add themselves to more than one group. So if you want students to choose like more than one topic to contribute to in a group, that's when this would be applicable. But if you want it to be very fixed, where you have students only adding themselves to one space, then you want to make sure that stays no. And then limit the number of responses allowed. If you say yes, then it will give you more drop downs that allow you to put in the numbers of spaces that you have for each of the options. And where you see option 1, 2, 3, 4, this is where you name your groups that you want to create and you call them whatever you want. And if you want to add more, you just click on that add 3 fields to form, just like any place in Moodle where you can add more spaces for yourself. That will give you more options to add. And then looking a little bit further into options, if you allow choice to be updated, that means that students can go in and change their selection. And then, like we said before, more than one choice to be selected makes it so that they get to pick to be in 2 or 3 or 4, however many spaces. And then you would control this by limiting the number of responses that are allowed. So if you say allow more than one to be selected, yes, then you might just give them 2 maximum that they can choose. Okay, and then the results. So how does this appear to students once groups start filling up with membership? So you can publish the results to students, or you can choose to not publish them. And if you publish the results to your students, then you have some other options that I'll talk about in a second, but by default, it is do not publish. And then looking at those 2 options, if you choose a different option than not to publish, then you can either publish anonymously and show the student names, or publish, not show the student names, or publish the results and then show the student names. And then if you choose to publish, and this is the anonymous report of what it looks like, this is where students would see which groups are filling up, but they wouldn't see who was in them. And then once you publish with having it not be anonymous, where you have student names there, then it shows you who is in each of the spaces. And here I have it showing the number of responses that can be given. See that like with the cardio group, only 3 people can join that one. So that would, once the 3 are there, then it would show that no more people could be added. And that, I think with these 2 tools, the Moodle board and the group choice, there are still things that we're exploring because we don't have any actual use cases because they're brand new. And as we see people using them and we have the opportunity to have like really applicable ways that we're putting them into courses, we're probably going to have more suggestions about how they can be used effectively and some ways that we might be able to help you put them into your course.
So we do have a sort of library of articles that can help you walk step by step through different features of Moodle ISU. So we call those the Tiger Tracks articles. And that's the Moodle ISU underlining here. If you want to see this screen, this slide yourself, you could use a QR code reader to bring it up on your own device so you could see it. The ITRC video library is where we have on our YouTube page. The ITRC has a YouTube page with videos with recordings like this, other ones from the past, and we sometimes segment them into very small ones like we anticipate doing with this one. You can see past Wednesday webinars that way as well. When you want to meet with us, you can email us at itrc@isu.edu. If you're a person who likes to speak into a phone, you can call us at 208-282-5880. Or if you'd like to stretch your legs, you can walk down to O. Bowler Library, and we are in the basement in room B17. For future Wednesday webinars, most of them tend to be closer to 20 minutes than the big overview of information that we had today. So they're usually much shorter. They do always happen at the same time each semester. So the future Wednesday webinars, you can see the announcements in Idaho State, or you can also check the ISU events calendar. So thank you everyone for attending. And when you have questions, please reach out to us in the ITRC.